Yo, pull up a chair, let the real talk begin. Faith on the table where the brothers lock in. Life gets heavy, but we stand our ground. Truth in the room when the circle comes round. No mask, no front, just real man here. Talking about faith through the doubt and the fear. From the grind of the week to the lessons we share. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair. Men's round table series, step inside. Real men, real faith where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair.
Welcome to the Men's Roundtable Series Interview Spotlight. I'm your host, Mr. U. If you're watching us or listening for the very first time, thanks for making us part of your week. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, you can find all four of our shows across social media platforms and all listening platforms for your podcast. So thanks again for making us a part of this. We're excited about this show. For you guys who are new to us, this is our sister show to our Men's Roundtable Series podcast that we do every Thursday night at 7 p.m. We have husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons from around the country, even around the world, now even in the UK, that are joining us every Thursday night to talk about issues that are germane to men. It's our creative safe space for men around the world. So if you want to be a part of that, by all means, let us know. And we'll definitely look to have you be a part of the journey. But on this show, we're having one-on-one discussions with husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons who fit that criteria. We have a great guest in today, author, professional speaker, leader of the Help For Men Brotherhood, and the host of the Dad Starting Over podcast. Ralph Brewer is here. Ralph, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Same here, man. We got so much we're going to get into. This is where I have the most fun because this is the topic. This is an area where I love to kind of get into. So hopefully I can squeeze 10 pounds of questions to a 5-pound bag. We can try to make it happen. but just a quick overview of just your life and where you're from, man, and then we get into some questions that I have for you. Go ahead.
Sure. Where I'm from, I've grown up all over the place. I was a military brat, so I was born overseas in Germany. My mother's from Spain. I lived in Florida, Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois. I spent some time in Maine, and now I'm in Texas, North Dallas, Texas.
Gosh, you went everywhere for real. It's like eight different places.
That's right. Amazing. And I got 4 kids. I've been married twice, and my whole career and everything started when I went through a pretty nasty divorce about 14 years ago that involved infidelity and me taking, over majority custody of 3 little kids. And it wasn't a fun time. So from that, I started blogging, writing books, and making videos, and created a community for men, all kinds of good stuff.
I love that, man. I love that you took the lemons in life, if you will, and turn them into lemonade and then share it with other people. That's something I don't see all the time. I hear people talk about tips and strategies, but rarely do I hear people put their boots to the ground and do something that actually serves other people. So I love hearing about that. I want to kind of flesh it out as much as we can today. You talked about the impact on your household of marriage and infidelity and things like that. What do you think men should do when they're faced with a situation like yours? I know it's unique, so you can't do one size fits all with that. I recognize that. Yeah. But what do you do when you have kids involved in a high intensity situation like this? How, as a man, do you feel like you've been best served to help the kids? What did you learn to help them kind of navigate situations like that? If that makes sense.
To serve the kids, you got to realize that they are primarily worried about one thing, and that's themselves. When something like that happens, when something like that goes down, so what's their life look like going forward? What's that mean tomorrow? Are they going to be able to do the same things they've always done and have the same room and the same toys? I had little kids at the time. I had 2 of them are adults now, but at the time it was what a lot of people run into is that your life is chaos right now. One of the parents is acting a little chaotic and nutty. It's okay. Dad's here. Dad's the calm force. I'm the one that can keep everything straight. I'm the one that keep the ground, the stability, the one that keeps the ground, the ground is shaky under your feet right now. Don't worry, Dad's got you. And a lot of men, that's a lot to put on your shoulders as a dude, especially when you're used to having another person there with you to help you when you got work, when you got everything else. It's a lot to tackle. And that's why I reached out for help to a lot of other men online and everything else and started creating a community, because doing it alone, it's nearly impossible.
It looks as though from what I read and what I understand from you, a lot of people that's a part of your brotherhood have experienced things like that. They dealt with betrayal, divorce, and that kind of stuff, and they're kind of trying to reframe their life, not look almost like, not the loser in the situation, but reframing their life like, what, I'm a valid part not only of this family but of this world. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you speak to that. How is there a revelation or a understanding that you got personally about how to rebuild your life after this that you've been able to share or disseminate with your brotherhood?
It's really easy when you're going through this to point across the table and say, it's them, it's them, it's them. They're the bad person. They treated me bad. They're the one that blew this all up. Everybody, let's demonize them. They're bad. That only gets you so far. After a while, you have to say, you know what, enough of that. I need to concentrate on the only thing I can control, which is me. It's the only thing I can control going forward. Let's stay positive. You legitimately get to a point where you're like, you know what? There's no going back to us, and I wouldn't want to anyway. Even if she came crawling back, I'd be like, no, you're a very broken person. I've moved on in life. And you legitimately wish them the best and say, I hope they find peace. I hope they find somebody, and they go through life and everything is good for them. You don't wish them any harm, but you got to
Sure.
worry about yourself, and you got to worry about your kids going forward, and eventually you get to that point. But it takes a while for a lot of guys. A lot of guys go through a very hate, anger filled phase in their life of wishing the other person all the worst and trying like hell to paint them in a bad light. And when you see a lot of people coming to their rescue, which a lot of guys do, and we have a wife, a lot of people go to the ex-wife's rescue and try to help her and give her things and all that stuff. It just makes you feel even worse. And eventually you realize like that's them. It's nothing to do with you. Just let all that go. And you're right. Eventually life can look like this blank slate of opportunity. Like, wow, I get to start over and be whoever the hell I want to be and just do things the right way. And that's exciting.
Absolutely, man. Wow, there's so much meat on this bone. I've done a couple of episodes on this about the idea of a nice guy.
Mhm.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that because I know that there's going to be a perception that nice guys really do finish last when it comes to relationships. A
Mhm.
lot of the opposite sex doesn't want them. They want
Mhm.
something edgier, something more exciting, something that kind of help them through the doldrums of their own life.
Mhm.
What's your mentality or viewpoint on the whole nice guy idea and how that fits? Because I'm asking this for it's kind of a loaded question, I guess, to be honest about it, because of what you got finished talking about and all the things that men undoubtedly have to deal with in their minds after they go through something like that. They're like, you know what? I need to change my philosophy. They start questioning their identity and they want to be something different. So you know what? I got to guard myself and make sure that if those barbs come my way this time, I have my armor on. I'll be ready. So they kind
Mhm.
of kill the nice guy
Mhm.
intentionally and try to open the door to the guy with the leather jacket and rides the motorcycle with the glasses and the slick back hair.
Sure.
So the whole idea of nice guys. How do you feel about that? What are you saying
Mhm.
to the guys in your brotherhood regarding this? Go ahead.
There's a lot to chew on there because
Oh yeah, I know.
nice guy in our world is a slang term for what the psychologists would call a codependent man. A guy who just puts all of his sense of worth on the shoulders of his partner there is whether it's his friend, is whatever it is. In our case, it's his girlfriend or his wife. And if she's having a bad day, his day's ruined. And she must be happy at all times. And yes, dear, whatever you say, dear. And where do you want to go eat, husband? Wherever you want to go eat, because I don't want to make you mad if I choose something. I can't make any kind of choice. It just rests everything, whatever it is that you think. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to cause any kind of drama. I don't want you to leave me. So I will do anything and everything to get you to stay if it means just throwing myself under the bus and all that good stuff. There's a book out there that a lot of you guys that are watching this or listening to this need to read called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And it's by Dr. Robert Glover, who's a guy who happened to know that we've done some events and stuff together. And it's a must read for all you guys that are like, man, I keep getting walked on at work. Women don't want to seem to have anything to do with me. And if they do, they just take advantage of me. And they always seem to go for the bad boys. And what the hell's going on here? Check out that book. It's really, really huge. And it's not so much a matter of, oh, you got to be the bad boy and you got to treat women like dirt or else you won't get any women. There is something to learn from the hyper confident guy who is, by the way, he's been turned down 100 times. He doesn't care. He just keeps going and he keeps just keeps trying with women and he keeps going on lots of dates. And he, even though he seems to be this extroverted a-hole kind of a guy, there's just something about him. There's something to learn from a guy like that, which is his confidence, his extroversion, his lack of anxiety. That's huge when it comes to relationships, especially from guys. That's a really positive thing for all you guys that are really introverted and nervous and socially anxious. And I don't want to go out there. What if she turns me down? What if she says no? That's not doing you any good. That's just one small aspect of the nice guy syndrome. The other aspect is some of it's not so nice after all. You got a guy who's like, I'm going to do things for this woman, and damn it, she better reward me with sex and a relationship. And when she doesn't, I get really ticked off. We see that all the time with guys. So a guy's like, I bought her a $400 dinner. I took her on 3 dates. I did this. Where's my sex, darn it? It's like, dude, it doesn't work that way. You're not an interesting person. You're not, you're not a very charming guy. That stuff comes first. Your looks, yeah, your looks matter. That kind of stuff matters. And we just throw that all under the bus and say, no, I did things for her. She should reward me with this in return. That's a very nice guy thing. And that's not how the world works. And those guys sit back and watch those men who don't have much. They're good looking, they're charming, and those guys get all the girls, and they get really ticked off about that.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, a lot of meat on this bone, man. We try to get through. I got a lot more questions still. But in regards to brotherhood and male in communities of men, it's kind of why we started the Men's Roundtable Series podcast. We've been trying to build this out, and of course, touch and collaborate with people like yourself who are doing things on this line. There's a mental health aspect attached to this. Last month and all of this month on the podcast, we'll be dealing with mental health, and it's been enlightening to say the least. We always deal with it, but we're really honing into it this month and last month. Why do you think that's important? The idea of brotherhood. I know you started the brotherhood, the idea of male community. Why do you think that's important from a mental health perspective? Excuse me.
You know, setting aside the concept of brotherhood in men, it's important for human beings to have contact with other people and have a sense of community. It seems that we are hardwired for that, or else we frankly go a little nuts. I mean, if you look at the prison system, for example, when a person does really bad things in the prison system, what do? They punish them by what? Putting them in solitary confinement. You go over here by yourself and you don't have contact with anybody else. And some countries see that as a form of torture, of abuse. And it's illegal in a lot of countries because they know what? It's not good for them mentally. The people go a little nuts when they don't have any contact with other people. So at a very visceral, basic level, you need to have other people in your life just to keep you sane. And at a more practical level, if you are going through stuff in life, let's stick with the guy who's been cheated on and divorced and all this other stuff. You're going to get better faster if you surround yourself with guys who have been there and done that. And they will tell you, here's what I did right, here's what I did wrong. Don't waste your time doing this. Dude, I've been where you're at. I feel where you're at. I can totally empathize. Here's what I did to make myself feel better. All those things help you. It helps expedite the process of getting better. It's just a very practical thing. And to try and do it all on your own, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you're going to take 1 step forward and 10 steps back. And then 2 years goes by like nothing. And you're going to be like, I am worse off than I was when I first got divorced or cheated on, whatever it is. Why am I not getting any better? Meanwhile, this guy over here says, help, I need some help. And he's doing a lot better. 2 years down the line, he's a completely different person.
That astounds me because these are the kind of things that we talk about in our community and on our podcast. And that seems to be one of the biggest hurdles for men. They're still trying to do it by themselves. They not only Mr. Fix It, but they Mr. Fix It by myself. And it's like they don't get that it's a destructive place. It's essentially you being a fish in the barrel. You're an easy target. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we need to have that community. And that's what they don't seem to get. Have you noticed that there's a difference in men that see, you have a big group? I'll rephrase this question. Have you seen a difference in men that have yielded themselves to a community of 10 or 25 as opposed to a community of 800? Do you see have you seen the difference in how the men approach that? Because I know that it's so easy to hide and to kind of nestle yourself into big numbers because there's less attention on you. You know what I'm saying? And more spotlight on somebody else potentially. Or the chances are lower, that you'll be picked out or called out or noticed. Have you seen that in the building and
Sure. I
community
mean,
from the beginning? Yeah.
it is, especially when you're dealing with stuff that is so sensitive and sometimes embarrassing and so forth. It's easy to kind of hide in the crowd and just be like, I hope they don't call on me. I hope nobody notices me. But I still want to get involved. And I still, you said the number 800. We happen to have a group that has about 850 guys from around the world in it, the Brotherhood, and we get
Incredible.
together. And you're right, it is a relatively small portion of the guys that are very active. They get on the forums. They're the ones posting. They're the ones making comments. They're the ones joining the live meetings. They're the ones coming to our conferences. Relatively small portion. Then most of them are what we call lurkers. They kind of sit in the background and watch. And they're like, I'm more comfortable back here watching and learning from the rest of you guys. I really don't feel comfortable raising my hand. Eventually, most of them come around, but it takes a while. But that's a pretty common thing. But what we see is the guys who get the most out of it are the ones that raise their hand, come to the front of the room, so to speak, and just say, here's my story. Here's what's going on with me. Then they get the attention. Then they get the feedback they need. Then they're able to help others. And those are the guys that become lifetime members. And they say, without this, this is huge for me, this brotherhood. I'm so glad I found it. Your lurkers, they get a lot out of it in terms of it's a big resource for them, but they don't get nearly as much quality as the guys who get involved. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a real thing. For yourself, I mean, you got your hands in so many things that are speaking to and nurturing men, whether it's the brotherhood, whether it's the podcast. I'm sure you're speaking and writing books that kind of speak to that too, because it's obviously something that you care about. What would you say, Ralph, is the hardest truth that men have just kind of refused to accept that you've seen? It may not be across the board, but maybe just this one thing that should be the most common. 80%, if you were tabulating.
Yeah.
They refuse to accept that in the rebuilding process. What would be that hard truth?
The majority of our group, sticking with the Brotherhood, our private support community for men, the majority are still married, and they're trying like hell to make it work. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are in very dysfunctional relationships, very unhealthy relationships that they have no business being in from day one. But they don't want to face that because that's really tough to face. Like, I've wasted how many years with this person? I'm in an abusive relationship. I'm a man. Men aren't in abusive relationships. If I admit to being abused, then people will look down on me. So nope, I refuse to even acknowledge that I'm not abused. There's hope here for this relationship. I am looking for the magic pill, the magic flip switch that all I got to do is do this thing and everything will be rainbow and sunshine and we'll just be perfect, like we honestly never have been. But we'll just transform this relationship into something completely new. And a lot of guys eventually get to the point of, you know what? I don't think this is possible. I've tried leading this horse to water. She just won't drink. She won't go to counseling. She won't talk about anything. I'm the best version of me I've ever been. I've gone to the therapy. I've lost 50 pounds. My career has improved. Much better friendships with men. I have this group. My kids, we're doing great. But the wife is just like, F you, dude. I don't want anything to do with you. You put up with that for 10, 15, 20 years. And eventually you're like, okay, I think I get the point now. I think this is done. That's the one thing that a lot of these guys do not want to face. And they become pretty combative about it. They're like, you're just pro-divorce. And you're like, no, we're pro-healthy relationships. And a lot of us are hearing your stories in the forums and in the meetings. And we're like, dude, this isn't good. You need to put your foot down, so to speak, and say, we're not going to do this anymore. And that's way easier said than done when you got 3 kids and a mortgage. And you've gone to the attorney and the attorney says, you're going to pay about $3,000 a month in child support and alimony. And he's like, oh, God, I can't just leave this. I got to keep trying. I got to keep working at it. So that's really tough. And you got to feel bad for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You got your link up on the screen where people can find you. helpformen.com/join for those that are listening, but not watching us today. Last couple of questions for you, Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been talking so much, and it's just because we're in men's circles and men communities, but modern masculinity. When I say that, what comes to mind for you?
Now you have the big question of what does being masculine mean? What does being a man mean? That has just been around and around, and it's just looked at from different angles. And you run the risk of kind of ostracizing people and making them feel left out when you say, this is what being a man is. And like, well, I'm actually not that way. Well, no, you're less than, you're weak. We don't want to make those guys feel that way. So there are some universal things that we can point at to say that's kind of a typical characteristics of a man in societies all over the world. If different cultures all over the world, we see some constants there that make the man the man. And it seems to be the guy that keeps himself grounded and protects the family, and he's the one that people turn to when things, like I mentioned earlier, when things get shaky under your feet. The imagery I often use is all of a sudden there's a fire in the kitchen and people start screaming and yelling, going, "Oh my God, what do we do? What the hell? This is scary." And who do they turn to and look at? Usually is dad.
Yeah.
And dad says, "Everybody stay calm." He opens the door and says, "Get out, everybody out, 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 out. I'll take care of the fire. You get out." And he runs room to room to make sure everybody's out, gets the house cat and the dog and throws them out too. He's the last person off the boat when the boat's sinking. You've heard that phrase. It's that seems to be a universal thing all over the world for the man in the relationship, the man in the family. He's the one that kind of makes sure everybody's okay, keeps everybody calm, out the door. He's the last one out. It is kind of a sacrificial thing because you may not make it off the boat. You may not make it out of the burning building, but that's the price you pay for being the leader and the man in the relationship. That's one way of looking at it. And there's a lot of other ways. I mean, I have some guys that are like that have been told their whole life, "You're not very manly. What you do is not very manly." And I'm here to tell them it's BS. You got a guy that's like, "I'm a florist and I like flowers," or whatever it is. I'm like, "Dude, do your thing, man. If that's your thing, have at it. That doesn't make you less of a man."
It does
And
not.
there are guys who are like, "I don't like guns. I don't like sports. I don't like." Cool, whatever it is. Yeah. As long as
That's
you're
fine.
healthy.
I think that's crazy, but that's just me because I love
That's
those
you.
things.
That's me as well. Mhm.
Yeah, that does make sense though. All right, I said last question, but I got to ask one more thing before we get to my final question. So this is the penultimate question.
Mhm.
What is the dead bedroom?
That is a sexless marriage. And out of every topic I have ever spoken about for over 10 years now of doing this, that is the number one topic by a long shot when it comes to men in relationships and the pain that they feel. So we can talk about divorce, we can talk about infidelity, we can talk about whatever it is, jobs and fitness. Number one is I'm not getting as much as I would like within this marriage. That's the number one topic, number one pain point. I can put up any piece of content and it will outperform all the other pieces of content. In fact, my YouTube channel, Dad Starting Over, is slowly but surely becoming a channel all about just sexless marriages because as far as YouTube is concerned, that's it. Anything else I put up gets nothing. I put something else and it'll get tens of thousands of views in no time if it's about sexless marriage. So it's huge. And I wrote a book about it called The Dead Bedroom Fix. And that's my best-selling book by far.
Following you on your YouTube channel for sure, starting today. Final question for you, Rafa. First off, thanks for being here, being a part of this conversation, sharing and doing this collab with me. I appreciate it. I hope it's not the last time we do this. All right, last question for you. A man is sitting in your brotherhood right now, stuck, angry, all the things that we're talking about, blaming somebody else instead of, kind of looking within a little bit. What do you say to them in the very first 5 minutes that either wakes them up or makes them head for the hills? What do you say to them in the first 5 minutes?
Really, if the more you push back and say like you're wrong, you're this, you're that you just get a lot of resistance. So I think for a lot of those guys in that position, it's kind of an acceptance of been there and done that, dude. You're going through it. I understand. Been through it too. I felt all the anger, all the everything. It's a phase you're going through. Just to understand that it's not going to last. And when this is all said and done, and when the fog clears, you're left with who? You. I don't care how you get there. At the end, it's just you, dude. And you got to figure out you. You need to figure out how to get better. You need to figure out what you're going to do going forward. And eventually you're going to have to forget about her and all the other garbage that goes with her. You're going to have to put her up on the shelf and clear the table and say, all right, what do I really need to work on? Me, the kids, my career, my health, all that other stuff. But you can get to it now, or you can wait till the anger, subsides or whatever. But eventually you're going to have to get there. And I and the rest of the people in the group and so forth are here to help you. But we understand what you're going through. We've all been through that. We can empathize.
Love it, sir. We got your website up on the screen for those that are watching and listening, helpformen.com/join. If you can, Ralph, let folks know they can find you even outside of this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Dad Starting Over is the social media handle that I've been using for years. Really big on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok Instagram, not so much. X or Twitter, not so much, but we're getting there. And so a lot of people know me as from Dad Starting Over. DSO is what people refer to me as all over the internet, DSO. But helpformen.com is the main hub of everything. And then you've been thankfully putting the join page there. Helpformen.com/join is the page for guys that want to join the Brotherhood community and learn all about it.
Thank you for your time, sir. Author, professional speaker, leader of the Help For Men Brotherhood, and of course, the host of the Dad Starting Over DSO podcast.
There you go.
Brewer. Thanks for being here, brother, and being a part of this conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You guys that are watching and listening for the very first time, thanks for making us part of your week. If you don't mind, you find us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, would love your support. Facebook as well. Jump on there, follow and subscribe. If you're a listener of podcasts, find us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. Let us know. If I do the same thing for Ralph's show as well. Let us know that you enjoy the content. And this is vibing with you, all right? We appreciate your time on this. Have a great day. Thanks for watching the Men's Interview Spotlight.
Men's Roundtable Series, step inside. Real men, real faith, where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the Men's Roundtable, pull up a chair.